To any of you, in your perspective, how do you think the media portrays the war effort?
Come on, David.
I'll take this.
Go ahead.
Back in 2006, we had a lot of issues with AMBAR being called a failed effort. And the media that we had embedded with our unit, I'm not going to say which media sources it was, but we were fighting a lot of issues of being told what we were doing wasn't worth it. It was a lost cause. And so trying to overcome that was really hard because morale was low. And having the media not on our side made it more difficult. And if you look at AMBAR province today, it's come full circle. Now it's looked at as a success story. So I would tell you just from AMBAR province, which is west of Baghdad, everything up to the Syrian border, it's come full circle in the past 2 years. So I would tell you from the best perspective I can, the media is not your friend, but they're also not your enemy. They're just something that as a military person, you have to contend with and you have to be able to work with them. And you try to use them as best you can to get your story out there and to use it to your advantage and to tell them what you're doing, what positive impacts you're making. For example, when you're deployed, what you're doing to help the local people out and what your mission is and all that.
I mean, I would like to focus on Captain Japs is absolutely right, and his perspective is he's, worked with, especially the commissioned officer works with the media a lot more than the enlisted guys do. I'd like to focus on the times when the media becomes the enemy. This is a PR war that we're fighting, and 2006, at the height of the Civil War, when Camp Jackson was there, we were losing that war. And I happen to work with Michael Ware, who's at CNN right now. He's a dear friend of mine. I think the world of him. This is a guy who literally covers his story by being a part of the fight, leading from literally telling the story from the perspective of where he's at. There are far too many journalists, unfortunately, that are balcony journalists, which call on a cell phone from their hotel. And in 2006, I was in the chow hall with a guy that will go nameless, Richard Engel. And what happened? What happened there? He's a perfect example of a guy that I just really don't understand. He went to cover a war because he thought he could be a rock star. And I really, NBC News, CBS doesn't even have a representative in Baghdad right now. CBS, how are you covering the war if you don't have anyone there? Camp Jackson was talking about the enemy. The problem right now with the media is they're using stringers. All right, these stringers, what are their allegiances? I mean, is it shock you as odd that the IED that went off that's on the 6 o'clock news, maybe it was filmed by the insurgent? How did the media get it so quick? Well, maybe the stringer that you're using is the guy shooting rockets at Captain Jackson and his troops. You ever thought about that, The fact that the war isn't on the front pages right now is a good thing because Americans are dying, and that's always a great thing. But the reason why we had the problem that we had was because Al Jazeera got to the point where they didn't even have a reporter in Iraq anymore. They would just play Brian Williams. Literally. They would play Keith Olbermann and translate it because he was giving more propaganda than I'm disgusted. I just got back from Iraq less than, a month and a half ago as a member of the media. And I can tell you right now, there are very few individuals that want to get out there and cover the story. Michael Ware is one of them. There's a couple print guys that do it. But by and large, your television media will hang out, pick up their cell phone and say, what happened? How bad was it? And they go live. And it's pathetic. The Bob Woodruffs and the Michael Ware are few and far between. But by and large, if I was to grade the media, I would give them an incomplete because they have not done their job. They're embedded with American troops, So, yeah. I hope CPIC isn't watching this because I'd like to go back if I could with the media as well. CPIC is doing a great job, but the media stinks.
I don't know if I can follow that up. Yeah. David hit the hammer on the head. I kind of agree with the captain. we can use it to our advantage sometimes, and then there's other times where it is your complete enemy. For example, I don't know if you remember back during the Battle of Fallujah, I think the Marine from 3rd Battalion, 1st Marines, where the insurgent was laying, I think he was face down, and, they filmed him shooting the insurgent, and that turned into a mess. Now the Marines under investigation, things like that.
That was NBC News.
NBC.
NBC, yeah.
Things like that, so... Yeah, I agree with the captain. I mean, there's not much more to say about the media. So
I think it's important to remember too, in today's global telecommunications, that the actions of one soldier can have global ramifications. You can be held liable for any actions you do, and before you know it, you can be on the 6 o'clock news, and you can have a camera shoved in front of your face. And so it's really hard for us to prepare somebody fresh out of high school to be trained and how to talk to the media, and at that, how to know what to expect in a culture he's never been familiarized with, say, Arab culture, or even if it were as far back as previous wars, those cultures that we were involved fighting with. So I think a lot of the training that we do before we deploy to combat is, I think, a last-ditch effort at best sometimes. My personal experience, I did like a 2-week crash course before I deployed to Iraq when I was in Germany. It was an individual train-up that really didn't prepare me as well as I could have been if I was trained up with my unit. But we could probably do a better job, I think, training soldiers and how to talk to the media, especially. So they represent their unit better, and they know exactly how to portray the right perception.